The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
All right, everybody, it is Friday, so you know what that means. It's A-R-E-D, Red Friday, because we remember everyone deployed, and a big shout out and an R.I.P. May you rest in peace wherever you may be. The original JFK. So cheers to you. Let's jump into happy hour with Westwood right after this. Grab something to drink, grab a friend, and jump in the live chat with all of our friends. Welcome, welcome, Westwood. Happy Red Rip JFK Friday.
All right, there we go.
There he goes.
Put some red on.
Spirit. The spirit of Friday.
Oh, I got the spirits in me. That's the thing. From last night, I think.
Oh, that was a great happy hour, or a great Twitter Spaces.
Was it? Because I feel like I was a little belligerent.
A lot of music.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, a lot of music.
A little too much, probably.
Yeah. Westwood, it's fine. Everybody was enjoying themselves.
All right, that's good. I had to, I'm trying to tag everybody here real quick.
Oh, you're doing good. You've got a bunch of in the chat. Okay. I'll give everybody a shout out. I'll go through the roll call, everybody. We've got Jake's Custom Parts, Crypto Experiences by St. Jerome.
All right.
Friend Tom. Charlie G is in the house.
What's up?
I gotta go through our duplicate friends. Coffee and stocks.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto. You guys had a great Hash It Out this week. If you guys haven't watched that, make sure you go watch that on Blind Dave Crypto's channel right there. You can click on his icon. It'll take you straight to his channel. You can subscribe and go watch the video at another time and like it. But you can save it now to a watch later. Let's see, we've got more. Allison, our sweet Allie McTavish is here. Tom, my Dave Warrior, Benny is here, kicking off the weekend. I'm trying to roll through here. Sorry.
You're fine.
Nana Claus is here. She's getting ready for the holiday season. That's what my kids always called her growing up because she was constantly sending them packages.
Nana Claus.
Nana Claus.
Christmas every day with Nana.
JB Rants is in the house. Eat My Steak is here.
Steak in the house. Deep steak.
Great to see Steak here. Aquarian done napping. Oh, I had to take a nap today. We had to get up. So we're supposed to be up. I was supposed to get up at 6. We're going to leave at 6:30 for the hospital. And then, of course, I have so much anxiety that I'm not going to wake up. So then I'm up at 4:30. And then I can't go back to sleep. And then I'm up at 6 or 6:05, I don't know, the whole time. And then I get going, and then we get there early, and then we had to do other testing. We had to drop off at the lab before and then go up, and then I don't know. It was a nightmare.
Ugh.
We got it done. He doesn't have any weather in his liver, but he may have some other issues. So
okay.
It's the first time we've done ultrasounds on like all different parts of his body. They're like an ultrasound and a Doppler. And I was like, a Doppler? Like,
Looking for storm clouds?
yeah, you got weather conditions going on, but
I don't know. I guess, yeah.
they said it was a way to like listen to the blood flow,
Okay.
the currents of the blood.
Okay.
So
Checking out the frequencies.
I guess. So Mark Weems is here. Great to see you, Mark.
Oh.
Jim Montgomery is here. Make sure
Hair of the dog here.
you'll fight back. You'll fight back.
I am. I'm not gonna be like Tyson. I'm gonna be like Rocky, baby. I'm gonna keep coming back. You keep beating me up. I'm gonna keep coming back, even though I can't fight. Even though I can't swing anymore. I'm worn out. I'm gonna keep on going now.
There's so much good stuff. I was watching. I love Little Meg Moonbeam on JC's channel, and she said we've just like moved into Sagittarius, and so we're supposed to have very
so Aquarius. Weren't they? Or maybe that's a bigger cycle.
I don't know. I think this is not like the age of. I think it's like just the astrological.
Like this time frame in the year or something. We need to ask Cryptoshi, not a FOMO.
Yes,
where's he at?
Not a FOMO.
Maybe in spaces. Yeah.
I don't think it's like the age of. I think it's just like the season.
I keep hearing about this age of Aquarius thing. It's like I'm an Aquarian. I'm thinking, when's it gonna be my time? You know, time's running out here. What's this age of Aquarius I've been hearing about?
Okay, I also watched Dolores Cannon today, and she said that when she was talking with Nostradamus, that people got it all wrong with the symbols, that the Aquarius is not actually a water symbol.
No, it's an air sign, right?
I can't remember.
Well, I think it's an air sign. It's just that it's pouring out the water or the waters of knowledge, and that's what people think it's a water sign.
It's not a water sign.
It's an air sign,
like, I really need them to go back and fix that, blah, blah, blah. But she had to talk to him about it. Anyway, she has his phone number. It's fine.
I don't even know.
It helps me nap. So just, it's okay.
You know, start seeing some balloons flying around and keep waving your hands around like that.
I don't see anything. Yeah, but did you see anything? No.
No, I'm waiting because, you know.
Not all the time. It's only when I say something specifically.
No. All right.
Only when I say certain things. So today is the anniversary of the assassination of JFK.
Coup d'etat.
Yes. And we're also I did a really cool interview with Robert Phoenix a couple of years ago, talking about the birth chart of America and the Jupiter return. And we were coming around to, like, I think next July is that right? Is it next July? That's its death
2025
rebirth or something. I can't remember the exact dates now, and I was like, but could that be, because he was like, oh, this is the death of America and blah, blah. I said, but could that be the corporation? And then could there be a new date, like in March of, and maybe it was last July. And then there was like, or maybe it was a couple of years July ago. I can't remember, but it's been a while. But then it was like, but then could that be the death of the corporation? And then there could be a new birthday. Like a lot of people have talked about, you know, we used to have our voting
inauguration, presidential inauguration,
or whatever, right? And so could that be, and then a new birth date for America? And, you know, you had watched the video that I posted about, what was it called? Waking up the world, or
about the Darien Gap in Panama.
Yeah, with Michael Yon on the show.
Yeah.
It's basically this guy Sean Ryan has this show called talking about the secrets of the Darien Gap, but the vulnerability of America. But then I was unpacking it because it talks about, like, someone is building a bridge there to link the Americas.
Yeah.
The North and South America.
Yeah.
So where before I thought it was just make North America great again, it's the Belt and Road Initiative to include South America.
Yeah, I don't know how big the road is, but he said it. You could big enough to drive tanks on. So
They
I mean,
showed some of it on the video. They showed it
yeah.
in some of his drone footage.
So I mean, that's always been, I guess, the thing with that Darien Gap. It's like there's different ways to. It's not fully connected, where you can have all the industry going by road the way it needs to go and travel. I guess is the way I took it. And so you got to make little jogs and this and that. It's just not, the infrastructure is not there. But if you got the infrastructure there to connect North and South America, I mean, that can make a big difference. And people will say, well, just make it easier for everybody to come here. And it's like, well, maybe we're going to be going there. Who knows? I've thought about it.
Yeah. What if Make America Great Again is not just North America? What if it's North and South America? Think about Melee in Argentina and what's happening in El Salvador and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin and all this.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get the Brazil thing figured out, I mean, between that and getting Mexico's shit right with the silver, like we could be on equal standing with, think about the footprint of Europe and Asia. Then America, North and South America, like that would be amazing.
It's interesting. We'll see how these blocks line up. We've usually been, I don't know, it's just like everybody forgets about South America. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you forget that it's there almost, because not a lot comes out of there, in the news. But it's a big area. It's a lot of things there. Resources.
Yeah. Everyone's seen my butt at a meetup. I don't know. I mean, not without clothing on, but I don't know why
Mike Tyson shot? What are we talking about?
Oh, maybe that's a joke about Mike Tyson?
That could be. Let me look at the chat.
These things go right over my head. I don't understand all of it.
See what y'all been talking about.
I don't know.
Yes, definitely hit that thumbs up. Thanks for being here. Everybody's talking about bull runs and $100,000 Bitcoins and all this stuff.
We're talking about the $100,000 Bitcoin. It's like it has no value if it's 99.999.
I know. Once it hits 100, though, that's it.
But that may be the tip of the hat that Jim Cramer is leaning on. What
did he say? You said something about him before the show.
Bitcoin is the only. Hold on.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's see it.
I don't even know. Yeah, he's so ridiculous.
Talking to the opposite.
I didn't even share what he said because he's such a fool.
I think he's a good contrarian indicator. And like I said before the show, I think he is the mouthpiece for the insiders, that when he says something, they do the opposite. That's their sign, and to make the move. That's how he's messaging, I think. I really do, because he's wrong on all these things that he puts out there, especially on X, Twitter. And why do you still have a job? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
There's a reason. He's a useful tool, I think.
Here he says, buy or sell. This was 10 hours ago.
Greg in Florida. Greg.
Oh, yeah, Jim. How we doing?
I'm doing well. How about you, partner?
I'm doing very well.
Ooh.
All right, so here's the deal. I've owned this stock for a long time, since 2023. I'm up over 1,000% right now. I don't plan on selling it. In fact, after today's correction, I plan on buying more. But I love what the CEO does. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Saylor. The stock is MicroStrategy. What do you?
We call MSTR. We used to call that Mr. MSTR. I've got to tell you, it's a Bitcoin play. I prefer to actually own Bitcoin. I know that shit trying to put some sort of short on it. All I can tell you is own Bitcoin. That's a winner. And that, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, wait. Did you hear what he just said?
Greg in Florida.
Bitcoin screwed.
But
It's
wait.
going down.
That's kind of what Johnny and I were talking about. What Johnny was saying. He was like, wait.
He said, own Bitcoin is the winner. I'm thinking, I don't want it now. I'm out.
But he was saying that he thinks MicroStrategies is a shit.
Right. If you look at it that way, what he's saying is that they're asking about MicroStrategy, the company, with Michael Saylor, buying all this Bitcoin on debt, with debt.
All this Bitcoin.
Yeah, so he's saying that own Bitcoin, that's a winner. He didn't say, get some more MicroStrategy. He said own Bitcoin, that's the winner. So I'm thinking, you can really get mind screwed here and think about it. It's like, well, is he saying that you shouldn't buy the Bitcoin and you should buy MicroStrategy? Because I mean, it's a contrarian call or what? Who knows? I just, whatever. Trust yourself. Go with your instincts. Listen to this guy.
Yeah, that's too funny. So in the past, when the last Bitcoin bull run was probably what, 2017?
No, 2021, May 2021, and then it kind of double topped in November-ish 2021. It never had like a really big parabolic spike. It was like split up, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, and so it got up to like 68,000, I think.
And then it dumped into altcoins though, right?
Yeah, it did some rolling action. It was. I mean, I think in November you had some they were all different. That was the weird thing. Some pumped harder in May, and some pumped harder in November. Like I look at Litecoin, it peaked in May, and then it didn't in November. You know, other coins were running up, but Litecoin did not have that double pump. It got up into like low 300 or maybe like $300, whereas in May I think it hit 410 or 13 as a high. So, I mean, it just was a weird cycle compared to the other ones. Now we don't have a lot to compare because there's only been a few cycles, you know, in every 4 years. But looks like it's kind of setting up the same way because I looked at 2020, which was 4 years ago, and October, November, things started popping off. Kind of seeing that now. And then that led into, you know, the big run up in May of the next year. So I think we're pretty close. I mean, maybe closer than we think. It may be over sooner than you think. So be careful and don't think that, it's going to last till December of next year. May not, you know. And some people think it's going to go on forever. It's a super cycle. And it's never going to end now because the institutions are in Bitcoin. So who knows? Just check your boxes. You know, if you got things you want to accomplish and universe provides those opportunities, you might want to take advantage of it.
Definitely.
Just saying.
Definitely. Okay, so back to the video that we talked about with Michael Yon.
Yeah.
This guy is amazing. I wanted
Smart
to play
guy.
a couple of parts.
Sure.
Not a lot.
Yeah. But
there were, let's see here. How do I share that page on this tab instead? So it was, because we were talking last night and we were trying to, there's a previous like fort or whatever in Panama, and it's been taken over by the NGOs. And so then he starts talking about how
non-governmental organizations, but they kind of operate as arms of government.
Right. So like the UN or through the UN, and then there are these privatized. And then he mentions one specifically, which I will show a little clip of later, which he's then considered anti-Semitic for mentioning it, that Marco Rubio was part of. Oh gosh. Sorry, Dolores Cannon moment. I'll put that together later. Anyway, they had he was talking about how these people were being brought in and how these parts of the country, different countries, were being taken over by these NGOs and like privatized and basically like stolen, whatever. Anyway, let me play this really quick just to unpack like how this could be a good thing, like where I'm going, oh, this is going to be positive. This could be the new super MAGA America. It also could be very dangerous because it could also put America really in a vulnerable position.
What the Darien Gap is and why it's pertinent to what we're talking about.
Yeah, the Darien Gap is one of the, let's say Panama. Let's widen that slightly to Panama. Panama is one of the most important pieces of land on earth to the United States. A lot of Americans don't get this. Our grandparents got it. You know, for instance, Fort Clayton is the old U.S. Army South headquarters. And a lot of American veterans watching this will know exactly what we're talking about, right? It's been taken over by more than 6 NGOs, mostly UN. But skipping past the details of that, that's been taken over by our enemies. Fort Clayton is literally one of the most important little postage stamp sized pieces of land on planet Earth for Americans. Right outside the windows there of IOM headquarters, which is the International Organization for Migration, which is the chief engine of the invasion, is right outside their office windows in building 110 is the Miraflores locks, the Panama Canal, and the Panama Canal Railway, which is also important, and the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. The Thatcher Ferry Bridge is the bridge from Highway 1 that goes down from the Darien Gap, from the edge of the Darien Gap, all the way to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, right? So in other words, once you get on Highway 1, after you emerge from the Darien Gap, you get in buses straight to America, straight shot. So in other words, from the IOM headquarters, to repeat this, the Miraflores locks are right there. You're watching ships go by. I'm watching them constantly because I rent a hotel right beside them, right? And there's the Panama Canal, there's the railway, there's the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. This is amazingly important to the United States. And right behind you is the old U.S. Army South headquarters, and they've taken it. Literally, our enemies have taken our headquarters. Jimmy Carter gave away. I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Basically, what I wanted to ask is, can you explain? Look, we are living in a very uneducated America these days, and so can you explain why it's such a strategic and important location for the U.S.?
Right. Many reasons. One, location. Of course, the Panama Canal opened up in 1914, and that increased world trade dramatically, right? And so that was 1914 was an important year for other things that we'll talk about later. But so that's important. Our U.S. Navy needs to be able to get between the seas. Otherwise, we need to, if Taiwan comes under attack and you need to shift naval forces, I mean, you need that canal to get through quickly, right? That's one reason. Another reason is just the trade. I mean, a huge amount of, I can't even say how much trade goes through there now because it's dynamic. Like the Suez Canal and the Red Sea issues have caused things to change. So, the 6% or the 11% that you hear, 1 month ago changes by the next time you're able to check. And so there's that. There's also, it's just a strategic location where you can influence or even control parts of South America, Central America, and even North America. That's airstrike distance from the United States, right? And so, or missile strike distance as well. But also there's the connection with Colombia, right? So Colombia is that northernmost country in South America. Actually, Panama used to be part of Colombia. In order to make the Panama Canal, we helped Panama separate off from Colombia, right? Yeah. So it became a separate country, right? And so, but now with the Darien Gap, they call it the Gap because Highway 1, the Pan American Highway, which goes from Alaska all the way through, it ends at a place called Yavitsa. And Yavitsa is where Highway 1 ends. It picks up again about 60 miles later in a place called Turbo in Colombia, right? And then from there, you can go all the way down to the tip of South America, right?
No.
So,
okay. And then think about the significance of today, JFK, Castro, right?
Cuba,
all that stuff.
Yeah, the whole area down there. You don't realize, and I think the Chinese control the canal, right? Didn't they get given the canal along with Hong Kong? I think it was fine. I think they have the rights, or they may have ownership of that canal at this point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I posted that video in the Telegram for everyone to watch. I would also stop at the 18-minute mark and the 30-minute mark. Have great information as well. The 30-minute mark is the one that talks about the very loving and giving Jewish version of Catholic Charities that Marco Rubio so selflessly served under.
Yeah,
to bring in all of the asylum seekers. And you should all read about that or learn about that. I would encourage.
Yeah, the Secretary of State, it should be much easier to monkey around with that stuff now, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he can bring them in.
The thing is, if you look at some of the pics right now that Trump is floating, I mean, none of this is official. I mean, this is just, you know, they look at what happened to Matt Gaetz. You know, everybody's, oh, why did they pick this guy? Now he's gone. And so none of this is official yet. So you're getting all upset about people at this point. You know, it's like, oh my God, he's stacking a cabinet with all these people. And it's like, nobody's been approved. Nothing's happened. So let's wait and see what happens, because there's always something going on that we don't know about. If these people get in and are running things, I'm like, doesn't look good on the surface, but I don't know the backstory.
It also caused a lot of people to get very inflammatory very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Right, but nothing's happened yet.
A lot of people to show who they were. You know, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Sure. Yeah, and there's definitely different factions. I mean, you know, and that's one of the theories about Gaetz. It's like it brought everybody out into the public and showed where they stand. And so now we kind of, you know, again, like you said, you know, we're seeing it. Should have been able to see it by now, I would think. But, you know, hey, maybe the public needs to consume it.
The other theory or thought that I heard floating around, another rumor, because we're just at the bar talking, was that got him out of the Senate so that he could be out of the House.
Yeah.
So that he could maybe be floated for a Senate seat and or governor of Florida.
Well, Rubio's seat's open, the Senate seat. That's going to be open. So, you know, you can pick somebody else. I'm not a big fan of Marco Rubio. I mean, you start looking into him, and I'm not a fan at all, based on past experience. I mean, he did a few things and brought some things out in testimony in Congress. But, I mean, you know, the big thing is I just, not a fan. But that Senate seat will now be open, and then the governor of Florida can appoint, you know, someone new.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very interesting. It's a great interview. They're on the same channel. This guy, Sean Ryan, does some hard hitting. He only has like 15,000 followers on Rumble. He should have like 500,000. He has some great interviews. There's another video that I would recommend everybody watch that really helped clarify. And there's like one part in the whole video that if you just watch and it shows you the map of, have they deleted it again? I might have to go to another. I think they took it down off Rumble and we had to go to BitChute and find it. And my husband found it.
All right.
Anyway, it might be hard to find again, but there is like a map of the, of Israel's glorious expansion, that everyone should be aware of, that I don't think a lot of people know about. So everybody should check that out. I do have that video posted in the Telegram group as well. And it's called like the Israeli magic or something like that. Anyway.
Hey, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, says, "Hey, we want to bring you in. You know, we've got a warrant for your arrest, whatever they call it." And then the leader of Israel comes out and says, "That's anti-Semitic." It's like, I mean, why is it always got to be? You know, it's just like it's a cover that so many people.
The majority of the world is saying you've been committing crimes against humanity.
Yeah, which you have.
Then you might want to.
It's anti-Semitic. You can't say that about me. You know, it's like, okay, so I don't even go into the history of that. You know, I don't know enough about it, but I know enough about it that most of those people there aren't even technically Semites, you know, and it's like, it's just this label, like Cliff always says, name stealers. And it's just that hiding under this false, you know, umbrella and cover. It's just, I don't know. Are we not getting tired of this? It's just like
since Genghis Khan. When Cannon and I did Cannon did it, but I helped. His first Faces of History report on Genghis Khan, and they would go in, and that's how he became one of the greatest conquerors. Is he was a name stealer, And instead of destroying the group of people, he would bring them in and have them become part of his clan, and he would take on their
absorb it
and whatever, and absorb them. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because I don't know, that whole thing, go down that rabbit hole on your own. I mean, as far as, hiding under that stuff. I don't know. It's no different than, well, you're anti-male because you have a different opinion than, you say something that, oh, I don't like your, what you said, Westwood. Well, you're an anti-male, you're anti-human, you're anti-white, Caucasian, whatever. And it's like, no, we're arguing points here and facts.
Right.
I mean, come on. Can't even have a discussion. You got to throw ad hominems basically at people.
Yeah, when you're down to name calling,
you lost, and that's what I mean. You lost at that point.
Lost your argument.
You're done.
You don't have an argument anymore when you're calling names.
Whipping you up into emotion, you hit that emotional level and get people to react, and that's what they've done though. They get us everything they do. These vampires, they get us to just like World War II. Nobody wants to go into World War II. Nobody wants to go to Europe. And they said World War I not that long ago. And people were like, no, we don't want to go killing people in Europe again. This is ridiculous. We don't want to fight the Germans. Americans had a lot of Germans at the time. It's like, oh, this is where I come from. This is my ancestry. I don't want to go to war. Well, let's have, cut off oil supplies and coax the Japanese into, doing something. And so sure enough, they bomb Pearl Harbor. And it's like, oh, we got to go fight those Asian, people that don't look like us. Oh, wave the flag. And it's like, okay, Roosevelt knew it was going to happen. Wanted it to happen because we weren't going to war. And so they get us whipped up into emotion. 9/11, same thing, whip them up into emotion and then take you to war.
And that's what this mystery of Israel explains is who paid Hamas and what they were willing to sacrifice to be able to have this giant land grab.
You got to break a few eggs to make the omelet, Lisa. I mean, come on. That's how doing business. That's how they operate, though. And that's why I call them vampires, because they don't care, because the end justifies the means. And that's how they operate. Well, I'm done. Done playing. We all need to be done playing. Because if we don't participate, then the whole thing falls apart. They can't do it anymore. They need us.
Well, so Dolores Cannon kind of mentioned today, not today, what I was listening today, that she was saying that the Gulf War was over in a month. Is that true?
It might have been, as far as, occupation and
so much and all that.
I'm not sure. What's her point? I mean,
so her point was that
it went on for years.
Collective consciousness that we the people said no on the Gulf War, and that because of that it dissipated. Like we didn't take the bait, like 9/11, like all these other trigger events that then ended up in World War II and all the things, and so in Afghanistan and all this, and so like if we can figure out what that is to diffuse like this next thing, and not take the bait, not go into the
not buy the illusion, not buy the
balance. Yes,
the mind control stuff that they're doing.
Right.
Just like right now, an ICBM or an IC or a MERV or whatever it was, got launched and thrown, they're lobbing missiles back and forth. We're going to have World War III. And I still see people it could happen, I guess. But I still see people, to me, I just think it's all staged at this point. Everything's staged. Terrorism, state-sponsored. They don't have enough money on their own, all these groups. Some government is paying them to do these things for an agenda. And that's what it always is. When you start looking at it after the fact, you're like, well, yeah, we were kind of funding that operation. And it just went bad. It got out of control. Next thing you know, there's a terrorist group. And, governments are doing this stuff. And usually the corporate DC's at the heart of all of it because it can print the money. And that's why they needed it in 1913. Notice we didn't have a world war until after the Federal Reserve was created. And now we've been a perpetual war. How's that work? You don't have to go get the gold and the silver and use a bunch of manpower to fund it and pay people. No, we'll just print it up. Let's start some more wars. And he's got to convince us to get in these wars. It's all just an illusion. Mm-hmm. It really is.
So could part of that illusion be this where Putin is saying, like, I will talk about ceasefire if Trump's leading the discussion. Did you see where Trump had the tie, the blue and the children's tie on, the blue and pink
I did
tie?
not see it. Yeah, I really didn't look at much today.
I don't know if that was taken from another meeting, though, a previous meeting with him and Putin. And then yesterday, I thought it was interesting. We're like, okay, supposedly Putin is fighting Ukraine, but Russia took down an Israeli jet that was full of small people that were being trafficked. And so it's like, wait a minute, are these two wars crossing?
That could be. There's a war behind the scenes going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we don't know about.
I thought that was
very possible. There usually is maneuvering. Everybody's saying Litecoin's moving. I'm like, okay, is it? $93, almost 94, somewhere in there. Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, I saw somebody talking about like there were charting guys that were talking about like $2,500 Litecoin.
I've been saying, I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, so if you look at everything, all the fundamentals are there for Litecoin, all the statistics, all the hash rate, all the, I mean, the minor reserves are the lowest in history. I mean, everything is pointing to the fact that this thing should be like exploded in 4 digits already. But everything's reflecting, everything that Litecoin's doing is like at all-time highs and, you know, just off the charts, except the price. And the price at some point has to follow. I mean, you know, when you've got a limited supply of things, I use it all the time. 0.01 Litecoin for everybody in the world. If you distribute it equally, that's not a lot of Litecoin. 0.01. It's like $7 or what, $9? I don't know. And then everybody's talking about Bitcoin.
Here's this one guy who says, hold on, am I showing it? He says, this is crazy. Let me introduce you to one of the most bullish charts in crypto. Litecoin's 6-month bullish pennant.
Mm-hmm.
The measured move for this has Litecoin at over $5,000. But let's be realistic and say it only achieves half that move at $2,500.
Yep.
And Litecoin is a meme coin now. So like that's
it's got everything going for it. I mean, it does. It actually works. I mean, you can use it, you know, without paying a bunch of money to move the transaction on the network. The network has the capacity to you know, do a lot of transactions. Been running for 13 years nonstop. I mean, like I said, I've been preaching to the choir on this, you know, on these shows forever. But at some point, people, just like XRP today, you know, it pumped. And it's kind of the same path. This is what's happened before. XRP pumps and then Litecoin will pump. And so you're seeing that and people are like, oh my gosh, I need to get some XRP. You know, when you could have gotten it for 50 cents a few weeks ago, but now it's like almost $1.50 or whatever it is, $1.40. Now everybody wants it. Same thing's going to happen with Litecoin.
Well, nobody wants to buy a Louis Vuitton until it costs $3,000.
Right. And that means something, right?
Okay.
Right. Then I got this thing that, you know, everybody wants. And that's just crazy to me. I'm like,
yeah.
Give me the undervalued thing. I'll take the slings and arrows of all the people saying, oh, it's dead. And it's like, it's far from dead. I mean, you look at all those statistics. I mean, and it's at some point, though, it will explode. And I think this month, here's my prediction. This month, it's going to close the month, which is like a week from now. It'll close the monthly candle over $100. And it just depends on how much over 100.
And remember what the significance of this month over other months, not to interrupt you, but you know, is that it's Thanksgiving. And
yes.
Everyone goes home to mama.
Yep.
And their family gives them shit. Except this year, Bitcoin's almost hitting $100,000.
Everybody's going to be talking about it.
All the people that said, you know, I gave you shit about Bitcoin. Okay, well, what's the next best coin to get in?
Exactly. I can't afford $100,000.
Not the $100,000. I didn't listen to you.
Right.
I missed out. So what's the next best thing?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where.
And they'll be like, oh, you got a Coinbase account? Yeah, I got a Coinbase account. Oh, you got a Robinhood account? Oh, you got this account, that account. Okay, you got PayPal, you got Venmo. There's Litecoin. You can buy that for $100.
Yeah. You got PayPal.
And you get a whole Litecoin.
Oh, you can buy Litecoin on PayPal and Venmo.
Yep. And you can transfer it off. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be talking about it because you can transfer it off in your own wallet. And the other thing is I've done some testing on this. You can send Mimblewimbled Litecoin into the PayPal wallet, into the Venmo wallet, and they will accept it. Some exchanges won't because they want to be able to track the history of everything. But with PayPal and Venmo, for whatever reason, they allow it. And you can send it in there. And, you know, if you want to spend it, you can spend it. If you want to cash it out, you can cash it out. You can buy it on there and you can transfer it out in your own wallet, which I would highly recommend.
Think about the history of PayPal.
Oh, I know.
Elon
Musk and Peter Thiel.
That's Elon's company. PayPal was originally X. It was the payment.
Yeah, we're going full circle on this thing.
Source for X.
And what's Elon talk about all the time? Dogecoin. Yeah. What's Dogecoin? It's the same thing as Litecoin.
Yeah.
Because it's mined on the same equipment. It's merge mine, same network. So at what point does the Litecoin get blurted out? You know what I mean?
And yeah, I don't know.
It's all makes sense to me. I mean, it's so obvious to me what's going to happen and how shocked people will be, because it really will be a shocking thing. But it's not unexpected if you look at the numbers. It's a 4-to-1 ratio to Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's going to get there, but even if it went 100-to-1, it's 1,000-to-1 or a little even worse than that right now. It's like it's got 10 times potential upside against Bitcoin. That's not the dollar price even. And it's just it's going to make so much sense, and the narratives are already there because they're legit, and people are going to say, oh yeah, it's because of this, and this. Yeah, exactly. It's because of all these things. And when it happens, it happens. You know, it's been a long road, but the thing is, I want money that I can use. I use Litecoin. I spend Litecoin, you know, and it's just, I use it as money, and it works great as digital money. I mean, and the thing is, when people realize that how scarce it really is and how little there is for the population, you know, you talk about Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. You know, oh my gosh, it's like buying digital. It's like buying real estate in Manhattan. You know, like Michael Saylor says, and it's like, okay, well, what's Litecoin then? It's like, to me, it's like buying massive tracts of farmland that are undervalued at this point. You know what I mean? That actually do something and can produce, rather than a big steel building that takes all this maintenance. You know, on a piece of dirt. You know, on an island that, you know, they get swamp. Come on, man. Just saying.
Well, and I would say even, you know, Tom saying like gold and silver, and Bix did a video today about the, you know, Texas has been talking about doing a gold backed, and they have legislation for it, whatever. I've been reporting on it for quite a while about their gold and silver backed digital currency, or kind of like a CBDC, which I hate to even use that word because everybody's gonna go crazy, but a gold backed digital currency. And they were talking about it on the 21st at some event, and Bix did a video about it today. But I was like,
hot.
Okay, but then it gets into like, if is gold then that valuable if you get into that, or is really land more valuable? I don't know if it's usable. Like,
right.
It gets into use
productive land. Productive. Right. That's why I use that analogy, because, you know, productive land is different than, you know, 8,000 square feet in Southern California. That, yeah, I mean, you could grow something on it, but you can't because it's in a city, and, you know, you got ordinances and all this. You know, farmland is a different thing than, you know, land that you can put a building on and that's it, and pay an overprice, you know, for the house and the taxes and all that stuff. I mean, and so that's a good thing, because I think the University of Iowa at some point, I should find that study in the past, they did how much gold equals an acre of farmland, you know, or how much silver. I think they actually did that study too. You know, historically, you know, how many ounces would it take to buy an acre of productive farmland? You know, the ratio.
An ounce of gold has been a home, or no, is it an ounce of gold has been a coat?
No, they always say a fancy suit jacket. You know, a very nice suit. You know, costs an ounce of gold. You know, it tracks that. That's what they've always said.
But then there's been an amount that's tracked a house as well.
Yeah, if you look historically, you know, there's so many ounces of gold that it takes to buy the average house. And I mean, you know, again, you know, the average house is, who knows what it is. I mean, you know what I mean? It depends where you're at too. But I mean, there's a ratio there. And when those ratios get out of whack, I talk about that a lot. You know, ratios, when they get out of whack, you trade one asset for the other asset. And I mean, and that's just what you do. And when you know what the ratios are, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna make this move. Just like I look at XRP and Litecoin right now. Historically, XRP is way overvalued to Litecoin more than it's ever been. So I'm like, if I had XRP, I'd probably put it into Litecoin right now. Just saying, because that's gonna move a lot better. And if you like XRP, fine. When it moves the other way, put it back in the XRP and have 5 times as much. You know what I mean? Same thing you can do with Bitcoin and Litecoin. Right now, it's so way out of whack that you can get over 1,000 Litecoin for 1 Bitcoin. That's a no-brainer to me. I mean, because at some point, it's going to be 100 to 1 or better. Well, then you got 10 Bitcoin back for the one you put in. If you like Bitcoin, it's just no brainer to me. We'll follow the ratios. I mean, they work out over time. Maybe a 3-year trade, but still, who cares?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I looked it up really quick. Take a 241 median national price for an existing family home and divide it by
2,700.
1770 average natural price to buy an ounce of gold. Come up with gold. Oh gosh, I didn't finish it. Averaging price.
The average house right now, 271. You said.
Sorry. For an ounce of gold, ratio of
It'd be 100 to 1.
2020 of 136, meaning it took 136 ounces of gold to buy a single home. That was in 2020. But back in 1970, it took 674. So it hasn't been consistent.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, it is.
That has not been consistent.
No, because you think back, when gold was pegged at like, what was it, $35 an ounce, and then you've got a house that costs $3,500. That's a pretty good ratio, and this is way back, 50s probably, maybe further back than that. But I don't know. I mean, you just look at those ratios over time, and once you understand what those ratios are, they will correct. They always have to correct, unless they go to Grand Canyon, you get a bunch of gold in that, and then that kind of screws up everything, and that's, as Bick says, that's kind of a game changer at that point.
Absolutely. So Cannon has decided to jump on and say hi to everybody in the chat.
All right. Hey, Cannon.
He's jumping in and saying hi and says that he's good.
Good.
He's feeling a lot better, I think. We started some antibiotics and he's been resting and eating, and we're doing a treatment in the next couple weeks. He's feeling better, I hope. So had a good day today, just an early day.
There we go.
Popcorn, yellow stripe smile. We love the popcorn. Good job, Cannon. You know your crowd.
Yeah. Gotta have the popcorn. I'll tell you. Yeah. You're gonna wish you had some popcorn here in the next 6 months.
Oh man, for sure, for sure. Good stuff.
But anyway, all you crypto heads out there, crypto warriors, I mean, my thinking is, I talked about it a little bit on Hash It Out last night. I think we may see it again, because it's 4 years from the last high, and the way things are setting up, I mean, it could go a little earlier than that. But I think, I mean, in the spring, look out. Be ready.
Well,
you've been holding this stuff for 4 years. I mean,
Litecoin would be the bell of the ball in the spring.
This is kind of a last chance, I think, and everything's lining up for it. So, I mean, his predictions have been way delayed, and $100,000 Bitcoin parties, we thought it was going to be years ago.
Yeah.
And here we are. So, I mean, everything's starting to fall into place. It's amazing how prescient he was, and us, I guess, we're prescient because he's picking up on our leaked language. But to pick it up 7 years in advance or something like that, 5-7 years, it's crazy. But it's starting to come to fruition.
Good stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So look for next week, the 30th, whenever that candle closes for the month. If you see Litecoin at around, I'll tell you what, the most bullish thing would be if it closed around $120. If it does that, then, oh yeah, that 2,500 by May of next year to me is like right there.
This is okay. Elon posted this thing that was like people coming out from government oppression, and I thought, oh, this is also Litecoin, like coming out from all the suppression. The water lily
Busting through the ice, just boom, boom, boom,
yes, being freed from Spirogyra, I don't know, Gyra. And I was like, oh, this is Litecoin being freed. Oh, water lily. Yes.
Watch me flower, baby.
Yeah. So, we'll get there eventually.
I'm not worried about it. I mean, honestly, I've always wanted money that works. That's why I like silver. I mean, it's outside of the government control. I mean, yeah, you get your rigged markets, on the futures, but I mean, the physical silver, you can take anywhere in the world and spend it. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's accessible to the masses. That's what I like about it, because the price point is way undervalued at this point. I mean, it just makes sense to me. I mean, it's just such a great tool for people to use as money. I mean, that's why it's constitutional money. And I see the same thing in the digital age, in the digital world with Litecoin. It's the same thing. It works. It's easy. You can go anywhere with it. I mean, you got privacy, and it just works. I want stuff that works, and I want it to work right now. I'll be waiting for it and paying $50 transaction fees or $500 that Michael Saylor's okay with. Well, yeah, if you got Manhattan real estate, think of you're selling Manhattan real estate, and you're paying 6-7% realtor fee. I mean, and you're okay with that. And that's a lot of money. It's the same thing that's going to happen with Bitcoin, though. I mean, you're going to have a big fee to transfer it.
A 30, 60-day close. It's not an emergency. But this is where when people say to me like, oh, well, but Bitcoin for storing your wealth or for emergencies, whatever. Okay, I'm sorry, but like if you really need to get to it, an emergency, and like Johnny and I were talking about, and he's going to show next week, we're going to show what's locked up in mem pools or whatever.
Yeah, in a mem pool. Yeah, it's sitting in purgatory, waiting to move.
You need your stuff and you can't get it out. You might as well have it at the bank and have to get
You might as well have a 401k that you can't access.
Yes.
And that's what it is.
Permission and you can't get it out.
Right.
And like, what's the point of that? Oh, it's real freaking secure. It's so secure you can't touch it.
It's so secure. It's like, I'm going to hide this in a place where nobody's ever going to find it. And then you can't find it. It's that kind of thing. It's like, it's locked up so tight I can't even get to it. And here's the insidious thing to me. And this is the problem I have with it, because these vampires are hijacking it. They want to hold it at this top level. And, you got Saylor, getting $3 billion of basically fiat money to go out and just buy Bitcoin. And just yesterday, $3 billion. The whole market cap of Litecoin is like $6 billion. That's half of what the Litecoin that's out there. I mean, give me a break. Litecoin's way undervalued. But anyway, what happens is at some point, if you're a little guy, like I think all of us are, I mean, we're not, whales to where we can go out and buy $500,000 of friggin' Bitcoin. But you're going to get to the point to where if you think, hey, I can save X amount a year, and, say you got 10 grand to invest, and that's all you got. I mean, and you put it in Bitcoin. At some point, if you've got a transaction fee of $200, and you got an emergency, and it's like, hey, I need $1,000. I'm going to take $1,000 out of my $10,000 of Bitcoin, and the transaction fee is $200. You're paying 20% for that to get that to move. And that's not out of the realm of near possibilities with all these big players, governments, and big entities involved. I mean, and so what's going to happen is they're going to force you, because out of the necessity, to not hold it on your own, because you don't want to pay that transaction fee on the network. It's too much. So you're going to let them custody it, because you can move it, because it's just a ledger entry for them. It's just like gold. They still warehouse it, and then, okay, now you got rights to it. It doesn't have to move on the blockchain. It doesn't have to. And so you're going to let them custody it for you so you can access it easily within the system. Well, they can put any kind of regulation they want. They can freeze it just like a bank account, all that stuff. And so what they're going to do is make it impossible to self-custody if you're a little guy. So you're going to have them custody it, and they're going to control the whole game. And you're going to be asking for permission to move it. And that's what's going to happen. And people do that, but you're going to be locked in the same vampire casino then.
Yeah. Anytime you're asking permission, you're not free. Free men don't ask permission. The price of freedom is never free.
No.
Thus, remember everyone deployed.
Yep. And so I guess my point is there are better opportunities out there if you want to be able to have access to your money right now and move it for an emergency or whatever it is. Litecoin's one of those, and to me, Digibyte's one of those. The next wave. I mean, these are things that are proof of work coins. There's a finite supply. We all have access to those. We can all self-custody, and it's that whole Satoshi white paper thing where you can make a peer-to-peer transaction outside of a bank, outside of a financial institution, outside of a government, and it doesn't cost you anything really. Litecoin transactions like under a penny. You can send $1 million on the Litecoin network out of your own wallet to somewhere else for under a penny. And it's a no-brainer.
Awesome.
Yeah. Freedom. It's empowering.
Freedom and empowering. Also breaking up the big guys. Did you see this story that this broke earlier this week, talking about the government calling for breaking up of Google, Chrome, some of these? Well, how do you think this is going to affect like We the People, the little guy, do you think this will?
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it's like breaking up Ma Bell, back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. And then you got all these companies, these spinoffs, and then it comes full circle, just like this thing, to where they're buying each other up again. And it's kind of crazy. It goes in cycles. Everything goes in a cycle. And I guess that's what we're talking about a lot with crypto, with everything. We're in a cycle of change right now and rebirth, and, the phoenix rising from the ashes. Now, is that going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? I guess it's up to our desire, our thought process, because thoughts create action, create reality. And if we, envision the world that we want to live in, that rebirth of the phoenix could be a good thing. Or it could be a rebirth into a whole different system that is even worse and more tyrannical and Terminator style. That ain't where I want to go. Because technology can be used for many great things, but it can also be used for many enslavement things. And so we have to get back to the Google thing to go full circle. Yeah, I mean, government breaking that up.
But do they just hide it in like shell companies and word
Yeah,
salad?
it's hard to know what the truth is on that. If they're really doing something or if they're just reacting to pressure. I don't know. I just don't trust the government at this point. It's too big. There's too many agendas. We need smaller government. We need to, go full Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. Let's shrink it by 90%. And then that way it's much easier to hold things accountable. As big as it is right now, we've got all these people that we don't even know what they do. We have no idea. They're there 30 years and presidents come and go and they're like, whatever, I'm going to slow roll it and drag my feet, and they've got their own little kingdoms built up and alliances and, and they all stonewall and do their thing. And it's just, we got to get rid of that stuff. I mean, we don't need that much government. We never needed that much government. You look in when we had before the income tax in 1913, government was a lot smaller. Mm-hmm. And it worked. It was efficient. We were very prosperous. I mean, we became the greatest, industrial base in the world. I mean, after the Civil War, leading up basically to the Federal Reserve, and then everything falls apart, and they centralized all the control. And it's like, no, we need to get back to the point where we're making our decisions. We don't need government to do all this stuff. I just feel like Ron Paul, channeling him a little bit. We don't need government to do all this. Why do we need government to do all this? Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and that I heard Matt Gaetz speaking earlier, and he said, my state voted for term limits. And so he said, I've served 8 years. And so I also wonder if that was part of him honoring his, what we, the people, the people.
Yeah, contract with the people.
Florida. Yeah, it was right for him to step down or be not part of this next load of Congress. And so that was part of like the plan, the play out of the game or whatever, because he shouldn't be in the next Congress because he's then honoring we the people's
right.
wishes.
And that's it. That's a lesson to take from it. I don't know what the whole thing is with Gaetz. It's a lot of people are confused. I see a lot of people are just kind of dumbfounded as far as what went down with that. I don't know what went down with that, but that is a lesson that can be taken from it. Yeah. If the president can only serve 8 years, why are these people like Mitch McConnell in there for 40 years? Why do we have these people in there for life that again build these little kingdoms? Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. Why do we have all these people in there building kingdoms? And
for God's sakes, Joe Biden's never had a
he's never had a job in his life. He's always lived off of you and me.
That's
come on.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Insane. It's like winning a popularity contest every year of your life, or every 4 years, whatever, 6 years. And it's just, that's all you do. I mean, you just pander and, and make promises, and that's your whole shtick. That's your game. And give me a break. You don't need that. Washington didn't even want to serve. George Washington. And after one term, he didn't want to serve, again, and he set the precedent of 2 terms, and that was it. And that's the way it became until it was made law after Roosevelt, served like 4 terms or elected 4 times. And it's just like, I mean, that's not the intent. The intent was for local people in the community who are responsible to the community, the voice of the community, to go and serve and then come back. It was a service, it's kind of a burden really, to go do this thing. And leave your home and do this, but now they got homes in DC and they live there, and it's.
But they write that off because that's their office.
Oh yeah, right. And they got 100 staff members. working for them. And I'm like, what the frick is going on here? Then nobody reads the bills that they pass. Staffers write them because, and they're having dinners with all the corporations, and unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. Oh, there was one other thing. So I was reading through, a lot of people are talking about the Brunson case, and that, today a lot of people were hoping for more announcements from the Supreme Court. I don't know if they heard any of them. I didn't hear any earth-shaking news, but one of the things that I heard was that it's not that the Brunson case was going to overthrow the 2020 election in the way that people thought. It's that what they had found was, and we had talked about it. I was like, wait a minute, what did they just take an oath to? There's not a single Bible in the room. There's not a copy of the Constitution in the room. What are they taking an oath to? And Sean had pushed back on me and said it's assumed or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, but there's no reason why you take an oath. Listen, you're talking about Genghis Khan. So what happens when these nations and these people like this come in, what usually happens is you will, like a king, a new king comes in and conquers you, and it's like, hey, you'll be able to be part of the kingdom. You'll get all the benefits or whatever it is. We'll protect you and do all these things, but you need to swear an oath of allegiance. And you need to do that. Otherwise, we're going to cut your head off. And so it's up to you right now. You get down, you swear an oath, and you say, yes, I had all these things I fought against you.
I know. I watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Right, exactly. And it's like, that oath was important. It was your word. That was your bond. That was you. That was you giving your, who you are, loyalty over to that new thing.
Yeah.
And to not even, that's just an afterthought. No, it's not an afterthought. It's important.
But so I noticed that and I brought it up. And that is actually the issue. And when they said, the interesting thing is that Congress doesn't have to have a trial about it, because there is no, there aren't two sides of it. It's just, hey, this is an issue. There's not like this person versus this person. It's just a fact of like, they didn't make an oath. There is no oath. They're not under oath.
So they're not obligated. Basically, it's like, hey, we didn't do it, so we're not accountable here.
So Congress could just, help me. The Supreme Court could just rule on it, and it's either a fact or it's not.
Right.
And so that could come out at any time, and then that is what could be where we all saw the crypto viewing, them puking in the hallways and whatever, and that could be exposed. What parallels with that is, before JFK was assassinated, the letter from Rumsfeld is telling him, stop asking people to demand them to tell their loyalty, whether they're Zionists or whether they are dual citizenship, whether they're Zionists and Americans.
Yeah.
And and a lot of people think that is why JFK was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're at that point in time again, and if that's what comes out as the Brunson decision, that look, these are not the oath keepers. They didn't take an oath. And then it's exposed. Maybe they expose that they had dual citizenship and they're really Zionists too. Maybe they leave that part out because it's just too hard for the American people, but they just say they never took the oath. And so
you never took an oath of loyalty. And that was the whole thing. That's why you got to be a natural born citizen to become president. I mean, You've got to have some sort of skin in the game, some kind of spiritual connection, some sort of, life connection to the land that you are representing, because you're representing the whole land. So, to be born on foreign soil, where's your loyalty? Or born to foreign parents, where's your loyalty? I mean, and so it's an important thing throughout history. Again, it's just like that blood oath. That's it. You're committing right now, and then it's punishable by death. In history, it's like, well, you took an oath. You didn't have to, but you did.
People that talk about it, and there's
birth certificate.
People can look it up. And then there's also there are debates about it. People can check this website out, theconstitutioncenter.org, breaking down the birthright citizenship debate. and it's basically, it's my understanding this has already been decided that the United States does not acknowledge another country's claim to citizenship of somebody who's visiting here. And so if you pop a baby out, no, Mom, there's multiple issues with Brunson. So it's not just one thing. Mom's talking about there's multiple things, but Mom knows about another thing.
Okay.
But and I can go down the whole Twitter thing of it if you guys want me to. But I guess
May you live in interesting times.
we live in interesting times.
May you choose to live in interesting times.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the bigger thing. At the cosmic level. Definitely interesting.
It should go in Trump's favor. And it's already been decided. Overturning the election.
The world needs more duct tape and bananas. Did you see that? See that piece of artwork that sold for, what was it, $6.2 million?
That's old though, isn't it? That was a few
No, that
years
just happened. No, this just happened yesterday or the day before. $6.2 million for a banana duct tape to a piece
But
of.
is that the one that was at SpaceX? Because
well, it did sell originally for like $120,000, and
okay,
then
I was going to
Justin
say
Sun.
that banana has existed.
Oh yeah,
as
yeah.
art.
And it's not the same banana. I mean, but that the concept, it's like an NFT, almost.
Okay.
But Justin Sun bought it just a couple of days ago. The Tron guy, who's under investigation by the SEC, he bought it for $6.2 million. This artwork with a duct tape banana.
Justin Sun bought the banana.
Say again?
Justin's son bought the banana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mom,
the Tron founder, the founder of Tron. Who Charlie Lee was funny. He's got this dry sarcasm that people don't get all the time. It was somebody asked him, "Well, what do you think about Tron?" This has been years ago, and he said, "It's a cool movie or a cool video game." It's just but no, Tron the blockchain. He's like, but he didn't address it. He said, "Oh, it's a cool movie."
I liked when I asked him at Litecoin Summit when I met him. I said, what do you think about the future for Litecoin? He said, higher highs and higher lows.
All right.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Just don't know when.
Yeah.
How long? What's the time frame? To me, it doesn't matter. It's just there's been it's sound money for the digital age, and I'll stick by that until I see otherwise. But that's all I've seen, and it's a very, very important thing, I think, going forward. I've always kind of thought that and resonated with that.
Well, that's interesting.
Yep, the silver rails, baby, the bullet train, economic rails. Anyway, yeah, $6.2 million banana. This world is bananas, and when you look at artwork throughout history, it kind of reflects the culture. And so, they were talking about it on CNBC today. They're just like befuddled. They're like, this doesn't make sense. And then somebody made the argument that it's like, well, it builds the social media presence. It created buzz. It's like advertising, and so there's somebody's willing to pay that because look at all the press they're getting. We're talking about it, and that's kind of world we're living in. This attention-getting world, to where it's all news. If it rises to the top, good or bad, is good news. That kind of thing. And it's a reflection of our culture, and that's what art is. It kind of reflects, the culture of the times. And for that to $6.2 million, what's that tell you about where we're at? I guess. I
don't know. I think the world is inflated when you have to pay like $9 for eggs. I mean, okay, we went to we didn't go. I'm lying. The Royal, we went to the store because I hate going to the store because you guys know last night we talked about I went to Walmart and I had to go to Zombieland and I'm like, I hate it.
Zombie Nation.
So Charlie is my brave warrior and he goes to the store. And we mostly don't go to Walmart. We have a local grocery chain that we go to.
Yeah.
But still, toilet paper, like normal size, thing, $40.
Ain't that a bunch of?
That is ridiculous.
I know.
Now, every time he comes back from the grocery store, it's like a game. He's like, he puts everything out on the counter. He's like,
how much you think this was?
How much do you think this was?
How many Litecoin was that? Oh, dang.
Oh my gosh. It's just ridiculous. I'm like, okay.
It's wild. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
But that's when you free markets are the way to freedom, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. The free market's going to figure it out and maximize efficiencies.
That's where I love that video with Michael Yon because he talks about the Belt and Road Initiative and he talks about them building the pathways. And so like as much as it sounds like you have to really unpack it and it sounds terrifying on one end, like that a lot of it has been used for bad in the past, trafficking people, moving people in, illegal immigration. But if you could make it good railways.
Right. But see, by not having a railway, Lisa, by not having transportation, I mean, you create a black market there. You create trafficking.
Why do you think they wanted to put Ross in jail? If there was a free market and an established railway of people transacting and don't need a middleman, then they can't. Then the gang, the mafia, can't get their cut at every stop.
Right, choke points. See, they create artificial choke points. Yeah. Why don't we have the road already? It's been over 100 years. Why do we not have a road? Why do we not have the infrastructure? We got trillions of dollars and went to other things, blowing roads up and rebuilding them. Marshall Plan in Europe. Let's bomb the hell out of it, and then hey, we'll give you some.
Why do we have to have bank fees and wire fees and
because
they need to be able to track you because
absolutely
to keep you safe.
It's for your safety. We didn't have FEMA. We didn't have Homeland Security. We didn't have all this stuff. But, we got this problem. 2 buildings came down. And so, we really need to protect you from box cutters on planes.
I mean, let's take this all back to weed. I mean, so
exactly, big paper. Comes down to big paper. I got these paper mills where I'm making all this wood pulp and all this paper, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, we can't have this, crop that can be renewed as opposed to the trees and the forest and the land that I own.
Bamboo, hemp. Oh no, that's too renewable. And
the little guy actually might be able to make money on this and have, a little farm. No, we need forests that we, control and, we can leverage through government. And
we need to license everything.
Right. Yeah, we can't have cash crops.
Land of the brave. I have all the licenses to prove it, That's the part.
Let me see your ID, sir. Ma'am, let me see your ID and registration. I mean, what do you need that for?
Yeah.
Did I do something wrong?
It's saying to me.
Did I commit a crime?
Yeah. I'm medically exempt from that. I don't know.
Yes. I'm mentally and spiritually exempt at this point. I'm just like, can't.
I'm Amish. Can't you tell?
Yeah, right. This is a horse.
Yeah.
My car identifies as a horse, okay?
Yes, my car identifies as a horse, and
that's why it's in the ditch. That's why it's in the field. It's not on the road.
I'm telling you, I want to opt out so hard.
I know.
Cannot even tell you.
I know all those ding 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 and glitz and glam and the ritual we saw last Friday that we all watched on the full moon and the humiliation ritual. It's just all these things. At some point, it's just this is ridiculous. This is absolutely insane. This kind of crap that they put in front of us to just.
To show you, they're but they have to
show you. They show you.
They show you, so then they don't have to go. They don't
exactly. That's the compact.
Their God, because they're like we showed them, and they said yes.
Yep, you volunteered in.
No,
we told you what we're doing. We told you we were evil.
Think about how many times I say things to people about like today. my son-in-law posted something about how dangerous sugar was. And this guy posted, one of his buddies was like, well, I drink 12 cans of Diet Coke every day. And I was like, well, that aspartame will kill you faster than the real sugar. And he's like, says you. And I said,
As wipe the drool off the chin, says you.
Other studies for Alzheimer's and cancer. I was like, dude.
It kind of, the body metabolizes it and it becomes formaldehyde. It's fine.
And I was like, dude. And my son-in-law, of course, jumps in to protect me. He's like, oh, this guy's just a goofy. I said, honey, it's okay. I was like, everybody can like do you. Everybody makes their own choices, health choices. I said, but your buddy really should look into that, whatever. But read
the labels, read the vaccine inserts, and then judge accordingly and make your own decisions.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
That's where like they put it in your face. They told you,
right?
And you chose it.
Yep.
So, he really wants his Diet Coke, and so he's gonna blink. I mean, think about the fact that you drink. Like, would you ever pick up something? You're thirsty. You're so thirsty. And
put it in the dog dish and see if they drink it.
Serve my child something black. If I said, here, have this, it's black, they would be like repulsed, disgusted. Americans are like, that looks delicious.
Yes, it comes out of a dark can that came out of a factory, and you don't know what's in it. You're going to see it. You see all the stories once in a while where there's a mouse in the bottle or in the can. What the heck happened?
I'm going to drink a black liquid, and that looks refreshing. Like, that's some mental illness stuff. I don't even know. That's crazy to me. But I see you have a shark attacking your head. Does that mean you need to go?
Baby shark, the baby shark. I got a baby shark. Hey, speaking of baby sharks, I got the baby shark here, and I got the older shark on the way home right now from Alabama. She's on the road, so she's going to be here
on the road.
Yeah, during Spaces tonight, she'll probably show up. It depends how long it goes, and
is she home for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, for about a week.
Oh, for about a week, and then back for finals.
Then she's got to get back. She's got to get back next week. Last game of the year. They're playing Auburn. Shout out to Parker Blair from Auburn, Alabama and Auburn next week, baby. So she's going to be back to watch the game. As we talk about the show. I know, exactly. It's a show. I'm paying a lot of money for this show, so I'm kind of invested for the next 2.5 years. All right. Well, everyone go stick your hand down your pants and watch. That's what I'm doing right now. I've got it down my pants, right? Yeah. Al Bundy style. Wonderful. All right. Yep. Well, we'll see you guys on touchdowns in a single game. Polk High. I don't know. Yeah, it's Al Bundy, Married with Children stuff. Frank Sinatra, Married with Children. You like Frank Sinatra songs, I do. It our way. We do it our way, right? My way. Yep. Mostly my way, but that's okay. You can every once in a while you can choose. Yeah. Mostly my way. All right. Love you guys. Jaeger in the freezer. We'll see. I might get into it tonight on Spaces. That sounds great. All right. See you.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.